Today on the Topping Show, Dove launches a campaign against beauty, feds investigate Bud Light for advertising to children, Montana bans TikTok, Chick-fil-A closes their very first store, Taco Tuesday trademark is under attack, Honda to stop making gas mowers in the United States, Nintendo breaks records with their new Zelda video game, Dave Chappelle roasts San Francisco for literally being a shitty place to live, and Hyundai Kia settle for $200 million for their business blunder of having cars too easy to steal. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you for tuning in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller service company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice today. Gotta say, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me. That's a joke. If you're a IT leader or a business owner, use a little assistance with your IT, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Now, going on to the culture part of the podcast, speaking of California, Dave Chappelle was recently doing an improv stand-up over in San Francisco, and he made a joke about the city being shitty, literally. He calls it half glee, half zombie movie, unquote. And in particular, I'm not going to butcher his story or disrespect him by taking the joke or steal it, but I'll just note the subject. He was noting that there's a homeless person outside of an Indian restaurant he was about to eat at, and that person just defecated just outside, just on the sidewalk, which may sound preposterous to many those who are not insane. Those who are actually sane will think that's crazy, but in California, that's the norm. It is so common in San Francisco for people to just defecate everywhere. There is an app on their phone, and they believe it's called the Poop app, where it'll actually show you a map of the city, and it'll tell you exactly where the crap is, so you can try to navigate around it. That's how much the culture has just completely eroded away. And of course, the laws are part of the reason why the culture is eroding, as drug use, thefts, crime is exponentially on the rise, which is why businesses are leaving in fleas. Most every business is leaving the city. Whole Foods, one of the most liberal companies, they're headquartered in Austin, Texas. They have a great customer experience. When you go there, they have fresh food. It's a premium price. They had to close down their store there because they had over 500 instances where they had to file police reports in about 13 months. I believe the exact number is 500, maybe it's 538 instances. I reported on that a couple days ago, but again, it's not safe. It's not a sane place to live. And he told the joke in San Francisco, and they all laughed at it because they know it's true. And it'll be interesting to see, again, can culture be saved? Can it be turned around? Are they just going to continue to tolerate this? I mean, it's becoming very difficult to raise a family there. Even if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for the high cost of living, how do you safely raise a family? How do you safely provide a customer experience and the employee experience that's conducive to having a profitable business to serve the community? Time shall tell to see what happens. Now, other interesting business use, you have Dove. They want to put unattractive women in video games. Now, I also want to bring up a conspiracy theory, although it might be true. I've had this theory for years. Now, Dove is a brand, which is interestingly is hypocritical in many ways. My first funny story about them, it's always funny when Dove has a commercial where they have the soaps, they want to empower women. I say it's funny because it's the exact antithesis, the opposite of Axe body spray, which I'm forever upset with because as a child, I bought Axe body spray because in the commercials, you spray it on you and all the beautiful women come towards you, like actual beautiful women. And I was at the drugstore, I think it was CVS, and I was in the aisle, there's a cute girl, a couple, maybe 10 feet away. I take that product off the shelf, I go, Axe body spray, this should help. Unscrew it. I looked at her, and she walked away. She did not come at me as if attracted by magnets like in the commercials. False advertisements to say the least. But interestingly enough, it's the same company. Unilever owns both brands. So the same company that says this product will attract extremely attractive women to you, some would say objectifying them in beautiful outfits. I wouldn't. But that brand is owned by Unilever, which owns Dove. And Dove, every commercial is about empowering women. But it's funny that both of them are owned by the same company, effectively winning both sides of the political aisles if they're broke down in politics, or perhaps more appropriately summarized, they're winning both sides of the equation. Now, another conspiracy theory of Dove, they always have these commercials where they have overweight women, and it's empowering because they try to make them look attractive, and they're usually in skimpy underwear, and my conspiracy theory is they want biggies or overweight people to feel attractive because the same company sells ice cream. So Unilever sells ice cream and soap. So if you can glorify looking overweight, you could sell more hydrogen. What are they putting? I was trying to think of all the foreign substances and high fructose corn syrups that they inject into modern food production for ice cream that you can't properly pronounce. Nevertheless, if you can glorify looking like that, well, then you could sell more ice cream because there's no guilt to just shovel it into your mouth. But I digress. Those are two fun little conspiracy theories that I had. Are they doing this intentionally? Probably, maybe. Now, Dove is also becoming extremely active in politics, again, it's a soap company. And there's nothing wrong with the idea or the advertising campaign of empowering women. I would think personally, I think it'd probably be more effective if you actually empowered women that are worthy of being empowered. Maybe have commercials showing off maybe the best inventors in history. One of the most brilliant engineers in history was a woman who worked at DuPont, the chemical company and materials company. She invented Kevlar, which has saved more police officers and military responders' lives than you can count. That's the material they used to use exclusively for body armor. Now they have carbon ceramic and different harder materials for body armor, but still many office departments to this day use Kevlar for body armor. So there are some women in history they actually part of NASA, help get them. There are many women who should be praised for their accomplishments. I mean, some of the best businesswomen in history. You have the Barbie, which is invented by a woman. Her husband actually made was it Hot Wheels or Matchbox? I think that's cute as hell to have a power couple invent two of the best toys in history. But no, it's the antithesis. It's the opposite these days of what they're trying to advertise and what they call empowerment. So they want to put women in video games who are not by no means traditionally attractive or historically attractive. Now, some might push back. Some of these women are in wheelchairs and disabled, and those people can certainly be attractive, but it's unusual to inject all these different body types. I believe one is androgynous, which is a fancy term for meaning I don't know what gender you are, and another one is overweight, and they actually released a preview with a video game company. So this is an article by The Drum, or it's a post by The Drum, which is someone who's on the Twitter. Also, I'm on Twitter at Nick Topping, NICTOPPING. If anyone knows Elon, I would pay, well, I don't have a stupid amount of money to spend, but again, someday I'd like to have the Twitter handle at Topping. But this was tweeted by The Drum, and they say, quote, Dove takes a stand against overly sexualized women in video games with Epic Games, Unreal Engine Education, and Women in Games, eliminating stereotypes, and to build young players' self-esteem and body confidence. Unquote. Body confidence is the most overused, superfluous BS term I've heard in my lifetime. Back in the day, no matter what you look like, you should always strive to be better. You should always want to look your best. You should always want to. Everyone could lose a little weight, especially in the United States, which is actually an interesting note. This probably won't lose money, but it's one of those things where we got to the point of society where everyone just goes, "Yep, you're good just the way you are. You don't have to work hard. You don't need to put in extra hours at the job. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to care about what you ingest or shovel into your palate." It's just everyone's just fine, which is truly un-American. It used to be Americans were exceptional. They would always go above and beyond in every facet of your life, whether it be supporting your church, going above and beyond with volunteering, helping your kids out with homework, going above and beyond as a parent, going to the gym every day, or just running or walking every day or jogging every day to go and beyond and improve constantly your physical health. So let's watch this interesting commercial. I say commercial, but it looks like it's video game clipping. They do have good music. So it starts off as the youth would say, badass. So you have an attractive woman warrior with a sword, and she kills some big old monster. Level complete. Ah. Oh, sad music. So now you have that attractive lady going into her dressing room. Oh, see, man, doing a pose like, yeah, I'm badass, I killed that monster. Oh, dear God. Alright, so I don't know if this is magic. Again, it's a video game. But she takes off her armor. And that's actually... It's interesting. So she took off the armor and the face protective helmet thing. And about doubled or tripled in size. And now she's putting makeup on her face. Wait. A little out of character, maybe. So, okay, it looks like she's in a studio. But she goes from the battlefield, developing the scene, goes to the studio. Now she's in her dressing room. That chair's doing extra work. So she's sitting on the chair. The chair's not broken. So I debate if the video game is using a real, authentic, accurate engine in terms of physics. But she's going on the chair. She goes to the mirror. She's sad because she's looking at the picture, or she's looking at an action figure that shows her how she is in the video games. Oh, music. Oh, yeah, now she'll show him. She's picking up another sword that glows. So she puts the sword on her shoulder. She's about to leave the dressing room. Although, this is actually a pretty insensitive ad, because it's discriminating against people who can't fit through a traditional door. She still can. So it's not even that politically correct. They should widen the door to further mobility. Now it gives fun stats with the little dove logo. 74% of girls feel underrepresented in video games. Well, it'd be interesting to know the sample size when you look at who buys video games. This is kind of similar to the beer issue. I would venture to say that most people who buy video games are boys. And also, now that I think about it, there's not a single video game that has Cuban refugees in it. I feel underrepresented. Doesn't show anything about my family. Uh-oh, I might have to start a movement. And also, they say underrepresented in video games. You do have most video games you can customize. I think the last video game I played was before the internet. Well, perhaps not that long, but working 105 hours a week doesn't exactly give you leisure time. And yet I still find time to work out and stay in shape. Nevertheless, the last game I think was Fallout 3. But even back then, you could customize your character. So you can make your character bigger, smaller. You can make yourself have facial hair, any kind of hair you would want. So we've gotten to an extreme level of customization in video games. Now that I think about it, how could you not feel like you're represented? Especially modern video games. I remember a friend telling me about the Grand Theft Auto, which anecdotally, just from a business perspective, was one of the biggest billion-dollar video games in history. But he was telling me how you can make your character look, you can adjust every facet of them. You can make their leg fat big. You can make them with a six-pack if you want. You can make whatever t-shirt you want them to wear or whatever suit you want them to wear. So you have an unprecedented level of customization in video games. How could you feel underrepresented? Okay. We partnered with Unreal, another quote on the screen. We partnered with Unreal Engine and Women in Games to change this. They did they? Women in Games. They sound popular. Who are they? So on Twitter, they've been around since 2014. They have 53 followers. Now, my Twitter, I know I'm not a million, no, there's not a million subscribers on my Twitter, but even I'm very late to the game. I started realistically using Twitter once Elon took over, trying to promote the tech business that I own and other interesting fun in this podcast. Even I have 230 followers. How do women, and they have 0 tweets. An insult to the tweet community, as some might say. So that's who they're partnering with to change this. The music is good. Whoever wrote the music was exceptional. Oh. Oh, jeez. Okay, so now it's replicating the first scene of the video. So now she's in all her glory, much bigger, and now she's still managed to kill the big dragon thing. Again, I don't know how realistic that is. Let's make virtual beauty, real. And they end with, oh, okay. So it ends with two big gals. One's the video game, one's real. So I guess so she actually volunteered. No, she probably got paid, but okay. So the character was based on a real person. Again, I'm not a fashion guru. I buy my clothes once every 6 to 10 years, partially because I know the profit margins on clothing, and once you find a good style, why change? But the real girl, who's a big girl, she has jean shorts on, which I'm not a fashion aficionado, but jean shorts are for men in their 60s who have New Balance shoes and drive the Chevrolet Corvette. Now, I also have owned 16 pairs of New Balance shoes made in the USA. I'm ahead of the curve in the cool section, some might say. No Corvette yet. But she's wearing jean shorts, and I don't know what you call it, a tank top, but it's too small for her. And she's a big girl. Like, she's big, so she has, like, her gut is hanging out. So she has that midriff, and she chose that outfit. I guess it's the same orange as the video game character, but again, bizarre but not unheard of for Dove. They've been using this similar marketing idea for years. Now, if you go to the poster of their idea, they do have a picture of, you have someone who is overweight, of course. You also have someone androgynous. Now, you do have someone in wheelchair and who has Down syndrome, most likely. Now, those might be good in certain video games because there's no choice in terms of you're born with that condition. And if they're smart with marketing, again, I don't think they are, but maybe have a commercial where someone is maybe like a kid or someone in a wheelchair doing their makeup, or I don't know, using the soap, or because they can certainly be beautiful, but I don't know, interesting to say the least. But a lot of people wonder, will this tank the company? No. So the reason this is not in the business blunder section of the day is because of, historically, they've been having this approach for probably a decade. The United States is the most overweight country on the planet. So it's over 50% of people in the United States are obese. So I don't see it tanking their sales. They've been doing this approach for years. And again, it's an easy sell in terms of they're just telling you, you do not have to work hard. You can just roll through life eating our ice cream that we also make. I'm sorry, there's not a promo, free pint of ice cream with every Dove bar of soap purchased. But from a cultural perspective, it is a far cry of back in the day when you used to have commercials that glorified people who are in shape, people who are exceptionally beautiful. And it's interesting to see the culture shift that many people are attracted to these new commercials, and society's gotten to the point in the United States especially where they're not, in my opinion, they're not striving to be their best. It's fascinating to say the least, but in terms of their sales going down or being affected by this in any way, no, probably not. Although, in terms of social media, they're getting ratioed pretty hard on the Twitterverse, where phenomenon in which more people like the replies that are derogatory or making fun of them than the actual people who like to the original post.